It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. I am glad that you are here today, friends, because we're listening to music from the supergroup Asia for the very first time on the channel. I don't know much about this band, and this is going to be another one of these episodes where I know that I've heard this song. When I hear The Heat of the Moment as a title of a song, I have an idea of what that sounds like. I really do. Y'all, portions of this song reside in my brain, but I've never really read in and learned about this group of musicians or given their music a critical and intentional listen. So I am happy that you are along for the ride. Asia, they are an English rock supergroup. And I didn't know this about them before reading in. They formed in London in 1981, and they brought together 4 members of other very highly successful progressive rock bands. They have John Wetton from King Crimson. He also played with Uriah Heep and with UK. We've got Steve Howe from Yes. How about that? Jeff Downes, also from Yes and the Buggles, and Carl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. All 4 of these guys got together and they made a group. I really would not have appreciated these names before getting into the Daily Doug and learning about the other groups that these guys are in. So the fact that I now know who these guys are, it makes me really excited to hear this music. So The Heat of the Moment is the lead song from their debut album. It was released in 1982, and this song is their biggest hit. Y'all, it reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and the album was the best-selling album of the year in 1982 in America. So how about that? I was 5, so I didn't understand it at the time. And like I said, I think I've heard this song on the radio over the years, but I've never really paid attention to it, and I'm happy to do it today. We have John Wetton on lead vocals and the bass. Jeff Downes is on the keyboards and backing vocals. Steve Howe is on the guitar. He also plays the koto in this song, and he is also on backing vocals. And Carl Palmer is behind the kit on the drums and percussion. John and Jeff are the co-songwriters, and I will be listening to the original studio recording because I figured out that it's a little longer than the version of this that is included with the official video. So I'm going to listen to the original version that's on the album. And let's dive in, y'all. Here is The Heat of the Moment by Asia. Off we go. That's a not very often used key. They're in D flat.
One thing I said that I would never do. A look from you and I would fall from grace.
10.
And that would wipe the smile right from my face. Do you remember when we used to
3,
dance?
4, 5, 6.
And incidents arose from circumstance.
1, 2. We've got an extra beat of measure of 2 in there.
Together, songs unsung. It was the heat of the moment.
Of course.
Telling me what my heart meant. The heat of the moment showed in your eyes. And now you find yourself in 82.
Yeah, they go back to it. 2 measures of 4 and a measure of 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
You catch a pull and ride the dragon's wings. 'Cause it's the
Then right into the chorus. How about that?
The heat of the moment. The heat of the moment. Showed in your
They went to relative minor. Yeah, B flat minor. There's that coda.
And when your looks are gone and you're alone, how many nights you sit beside the phone? What were the things you wanted for yourself? Teenage ambitions you'll remember well. It was the heat of the moment, telling you what your heart meant. The heat of the moment, showed in your eyes. It was the heat of the moment, heat of the moment,
Yeah.
heat of the moment, showed in your eyes.
Over flat 7, down to La. So that was going to be the move back to that relative minor, but they stayed in the major key for the solo. There's a spit of 5. Simple tune. I know a bunch of the really sophisticated music that these guys have made in their other bands. And it's really well put together. It's got a great hook to it, but it's simple, relatively simple compared to the music that I'm used to these guys playing. As I was going through it, I've got the lyrics here, and I think it's really fascinating. The third verse, and now you find yourself in 82, okay, 1982. The disco hot spots hold no charm for you. You, excuse me. You can concern yourself with bigger things. You can catch a pearl and ride on the dragon's wings. I believe that they are referring to the cover art that we saw here in the video. It was created by Roger Dean, the same guy that created a bunch of album covers for Yes, and I know he worked with a few other bands. But that's interesting because it looks like the dragons either got a toy or a pearl or something as we were watching it. I want to show you a little bit of what I heard in this. If I remember right, they're in D flat, which is an odd key. You don't hear that one very often for a pop or a rock song. But it starts on the A flat chord, the 5 chord, and I remember hearing da 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 dee dum bum be dum da dum. And it goes to the 4 chord. Re, 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 mi, mi, do, do, mi, re, mi, mi. It's a simple little progression that they've got going there, but it works. It works really well, and they're all great players, and I really much quite enjoyed that. And I understand how that might have been a really great song to listen to on the radio back in the day. I found a quote by John Wetton about this song. He gave an interview in 2011, and he said this. He says, the lyrics are an abject apology for my dreadful behavior towards a particular woman, the woman that I would eventually marry but divorce 10 years later. And the chorus began its life as a country song in a 6/8 meter. How would that work? It was the heat of the moment. That would be weird. Weird based on what we just heard. It began his life as a 6/8 country song, but when Jeff and I started writing together, we moved the time signatures around and Heat of the Moment emerged. No one else particularly got the song, and it was the last song to be recorded for the album. The last song to be recorded, and it became the first single and their biggest hit as a band. How about that? John has also said that he was trying to channel Joni Mitchell in this whose emotive lyrics had a big influence on him. So he was attempting to bare his soul in much the same way that Joni Mitchell does in her songs. In fact, I've got one of Joni's albums out behind me, Blue, and it's a lovely album. So how about that, friends? Asia. These guys, by the time they got to this band, were superstars in all of their own rights, and they came together, and this is really groovy music. So I look forward to hearing more from Asia in the future. I never knew that these sorts of supergroups existed because I really didn't know much about their original groups either. But now that I've been doing the Daily Doug for a while, it's fun to see where these great musicians pop up and who they end up playing with and what music they end up making. And this was a great introduction to Asia, so I'm happy to include them on the channel and look for more from this group on the channel in the future. But that's all for today, my friends. I'm really happy that you have been with me for this one, and we'll see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.